Hello class, welcome to this week's filmmaking lesson. So this week I want to talk about a sponsor video. It's a Christian hotel room. It's it's a it's a hotel stay for all the Christians. For all you guys need a Christian hotel, you can go buy some and book it. All right. And also a new logo called Cheese Crack. Cheese Crack is like a Wallace and Gromit film, but sometimes the logo gets sold this way. But the meme was pop up in the images. So yeah, you can do cheap. You can do cheese crack over there on the sign, the logo. And also, there's gonna be a new trailer called well, so DC Plus will be out in September 2019. Yep. So if you're out of for first day of school after the assembly, you should go and have some fun with the NTC Plus trailers. There's gonna be a trailer called Lightning and Tramp and Muppet Classic Theater. So yeah. Alright, so today we're gonna do the first part is home video releases. Alright? So 2019 home video. Alright? So if you wanna go, yeah, there's something like April 27th. It's for Galaxy Cinemas at 11 o'clock a.m. So let's go down and see what it is. We did this, huh? Okay, so there's gonna be today we're gonna do Creed 2. It's a Creed 2 promises. Here's a plot, and there's a long plot I see. Okay, 3 years after his loss to pretty Ricky Conlon, Adonis Creed scores a string of victories, culminating in a victory over Danny Studman Wheeler to win the WBC World Heavyweight Championship. Now a worldwide star, Adonis proposes to his girlfriend, Bionica Taylor, who agrees to marry him. When Bionica suggests starting a new life together in Los Angeles, Adonis is reluctant to leave his life in Philadelphia behind. Meanwhile, Ivan Drago, a former Soviet boxer who killed Adonis' father, Apollo Creed, in the ring 33 years earlier, sees an opportunity to regain the glory that was taken from him as a result of his loss to Rocky Balboa in Moscow. Later that same year, by pitting his son, Victor Drago, with the assistance of buddy Marcel, a promoter who has followed Victor's career closely. Against Adonis, when Rocky refuses to support Adonis's decision to accept Victor's challenge, Adonis, feeling betrayed, decides to leave to Los Angeles. Adonis and Bionica settle down in a luxurious apartment in Los Angeles, close to Adonis's adopted mother and Apollo's widow, Mary Ann, as Adonis and Bionica adjust to their new life on the West Coast and prepare for the upcoming match with Victor. Bionica learns that she is pregnant. Adonis recruits Tony, little Duke Evers, son of his father's trainer, and later Rocky's trainer and Mickey's replacement. Overwhelmed with all the recent developments of his life, Adonis rushes into the match, getting himself badly injured. Victor is disqualified for hitting Adonis, while he is down, allowing Adonis to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Victor becomes extremely popular in Russia and wins a series of light fights, even top billing. His body and ego shattered, Adonis becomes increasingly disconnected from Bionica. Mary Ann reaches out to Rocky in hopes of having him come to help Adonis out of his slump. Rocky arrives. He and Adonis make up, and Rocky agrees to train Adonis with Little Duke properly for a rematch against Victor, who is suffering near torturous levels of physical tests by his father. Bionica gives birth to a baby girl, and they name her Amara. Adonis and Bionica's fears are realized when their child is born deaf, inherited from her mother's a progressive degenerative hearing disorder. While Victor continues to taunt Adonis publicly, he is constantly pressured by his father to regain their honor. Ivan appears to be enjoying the attentions of the media and various Russian delegates, with which Victor appears uncomfortable at a state dinner. He and Ivan meet Ludmilla, his mother and Ivan's ex-wife, for the first time in several years after she abandoned both of them after the loss of Rocky. Victor is immediately enraged at the sight of his mother and chastises Ivan for his interactions with the people who outcasted them. Back in America, Rocky and Little Duke take Adonis to a decrepit location in the California desert to retrain, describing it as a place where fighters are reborn. Adonis undergoes a rigorous and brutal training regimen with Rocky and Little Duke, focusing on fighting from the inside and training his body to repeatedly absorb the heavy impact he knows he will receive from Victor in the ring. The rematch in Moscow is considerably more balanced as a more controlled and focused Adonis exchanges equal blows with Victor. Since Victor is accustomed to winning all of his fights by knockout, his fights have never lasted beyond the fourth round, something that Adonis uses to his advantage as he endures Victor's punishment deeper into the match. Even after his ribs break again, in the 10th round after being knocked down again, Adonis unleashes his furious rage, managing to land sequence after sequence of effective blows, knocking Victor down twice. Ludmilla, who had been sitting ringside with some of Victor's supporters, departs when the tide of the fight shifts in Adonis' favor, knocking Victor off balance emotionally. Ivan notes this as well, coming to terms with Victor's earlier statement on the fair-weathered nature of the same supporters who had run Ivan out of Russia, with Victor cornered and receiving multiple strikes without defending himself, but unwilling to go down. Ivan throws in the towel, conceding the fight to Adonis to ensure his son isn't seriously injured or killed. Though Victor is ashamed, Ivan assures Victor it is okay that he lost, and embraces him. As Bionica enters the ring to celebrate with Adonis and Little Duke, Rocky rescues himself from joining them, telling Adonis it's your time, and takes a seat to watch them from outside the ring. Victor and Ivan are later training together back in Ukraine. Rocky travels to Vancouver to make peace with his own estranged son, Robert, and meets his grandson Logan for the first time, noting how much he looks like Adrian. Adonis visits Apollo's grave, where he makes peace with his deceased father and the burden of carrying on his legacy. as he and Bianca introduce him to his granddaughter, who is sporting a new hearing aid. Okay, so that's Creed 2. Let's look up on the favorite. So here's a plot in this film. Well, actually, there's like a picture on the side. It says Portrait of Sarah Churchill, Duchess of Marlborough by Charles Jervis. Okay, here's a plot in this film. In 1708, Britain is at war with France, and Queen Anne sits on the throne. In frail health, Anne shows little interest in governing, instead preferring eccentric activities such as racing ducks and playing with her 17 rabbits, each of which represents a child that she has lost over the years. Her confident advisor and furtive lover, Sarah Churchill, the Duchess of Marlborough, effectively rules the country through her influence on the Queen. Sarah's efforts to control Anne are undetermined by Robert Harley, a Tory member of Parliament who, as a landowner, argues against a doubling of property taxes proposed in order to fund the war. Meanwhile, Abigail Hill, Sarah's impoverished younger cousin, arrives at court in search of employment. Abigail's standing is tainted by her father, who gambled away his good name and lost his daughter to a German in a game of whist. Abigail is initially forced to do menial work as a scullery maid in the palace, but after seeing the Queen's condition, she spies on an opportunity to ingratiate herself with Sarah, and eventually Queen Anne herself. She forages for herbs to heal the Queen's inflamed legs, and though she is initially punished by Sarah for her presumptuous actions, Sarah relents when she realizes the remedy does ease the Queen's suffering. In gratitude, Sarah makes Abigail her lady of the bedchamber. Raleigh soon approaches Abigail, hoping to use her as a spy in order to find out what Sarah's schemes are and figure out a way to circumvent her authority. Abigail initially rebuffs him, but soon she becomes aware of the secret lesbian relationship between Anne and Sarah. As she is fascinated by the Queen's scandalous homosexual inclination, Abigail begins to court the Queen's favor herself. With Sarah focused on the war effort, Abigail kindles a friendship with Anne, which soon becomes sexual. Sarah becomes aware of Abigail's machination and attempts to have her sent away. Abigail drugs Sarah's tea, causing her to fail from her horse and be dragged into the forest. She vanishes for several days. Annie, thinking that Sarah has temporarily abandoned her to make her jealous, takes Abigail into her favor, where her first reward is to be allowed to accept a proposal of marriage from Samuel Mesham, a baron in Annie's court. The marriage reinstates Abigail's noble standing as a baroness. A battered and scarred Sarah awakens in the brothel. When she returns to court, she issues an ultimatum to Anne: send Abigail away, or she will disclose her correspondence with Annie that details their sexual relationship. The threat destroys the relationship between Annie and Sarah. Although Sarah voluntarily burns the letters in regret, she is stripped of her offices and sent away from court. When Abigail, now promoted to keeper of the privy purse, presents what she claims to be evidence that Sarah has been embezzling him money, Sarah and her husband are exiled from Britain. Abigail comes to realize the Queen now detests her for breaking her heart over Sarah. Soon after her victory, Abigail's ego and appetite for luxury start to inflate in a manner similar to the way Sarah's had one day while lounging in the Queen's chamber. Abigail deliberately treads on one of Annie's rabbits, suspecting mischief in Abigail's true nature. Annie promptly responds to his abuse by grabbing Abigail's hair and ordering her to massage her legs as if she were a servant. Okay, so that's the favorite. Let's look up on Green Book. Here's a plot in this film. New York City bouncer Frank Tony Lip Villalonga is searching for new employment while the Copacabana nightclub where he works is closed for renovation. He is invited to an interview with Don Shirley, an African-American pianist who is looking for a driver for his 8-week concert tour through the Midwest and Deep South. Don hires Tony and on the strength of his references, they embark with plans to return to New York on Christmas Eve. Don's record label gives Tony a copy of the Green Book, a guide for African American travelers to find motels, restaurants, and filling stations that would serve them. They begin the tour in the Midwest before eventually heading farther south. Tony and Don initially clash as Tony feels uncomfortable being asked to act with more refinement, while Don is disgusted by Tony's habits. As the tour progresses, Tony is impressed with Don's talent on the piano and increasingly appalled by the discriminatory treatment which Don receives from his hosts and the general public when he is not on stage. A group of white men threatens Don's life in a bar and Tony rescues him. He instructs Don not to go out without him for the rest of the tour. Throughout the journey, Don helps Tony write letters to his wife, which deeply move her. Tony encourages Don to get in touch with his own estranged brother, but Don is hesitant, observing that he has become isolated by his professional life and achievement. In the South, Don is found in a gay encounter with a white man at a YMCA pool, and Tony bribes the officers to prevent the musician's arrest. Don is upset that Tony rewarded the officers for their treatment. Later, the two are arrested after a police officer pulls them over late at night in a sundown town, and Tony punches him after being insulted. While they are incarcerated, Don asks to call his lawyer and uses the opportunity to reach Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, who pressures the governor to release them. On the night of the final performance on tour in Birmingham, Alabama, Don is refused entry into the whites-only dining room of the country club, where he has been hired to perform. Tony threatens the owner, and Don refuses to play since they refuse to serve him in the room with his audience. Tony takes Don to get dinner at the predominantly black blues club, and where Don rouses the crowd with his music. Tony and Don head back north to try to make it home by Christmas Eve. While en route, they are stopped by a police officer, but the officer is trying to help and not harass them. Don returns to his own apartment, but ends up going to Tony's home, where he is warmly greeted. Okay, that's Green Book. Let's look up on Insta Family. Did you see? Okay. Insta Family, that's it. Okay, there's a lot of long plots in there. Okay, married couple Pete and Ellie Ragnar, after being taunted by relatives who think they will never have kids, start considering the option of adopting a child. Initially half serious, they eventually decide to enroll in the foster parents course. Two social workers, Karen and Sharon, guide the hopeful parents on the steps to getting into becoming adoptive parents. The couples are brought to a fair where they have the chance to go up to kids that they are interested in adopting. Pete and Ellie walk by the teenagers, although Ellie shows hesitance over raising a teen, but one of the teens, Lizzie, informs Ellie that they all know no one wants to adopt the teens. Impressed with Lizzie's behavior, Pete and Ellie talk to Karen and Sharon over potentially taking her in. The social workers inform the couple that Lizzie's mother is a drug addict who is currently in jail, and she set their home on fire because she left a crack pipelet. It also turns out that Lizzie has two younger siblings, Joe and Alita. Although this seems like more of a challenge for Pete and Ellie, they agree to meet the siblings. The first meeting, however, does not seem to result in an immediate bond, and Pete and Ellie reconsider. Pete and Ellie have Thanksgiving dinner with Ellie's family, where they announce that they intend to walk back to their decision to adopt once the rest of the family shows relief, making it clear that nobody really believed that Pete and Ellie could make it. Ellie gets upset and decides that they will go through with the foster care to prove that they can be good parents. Lizzie, Joanne, and Alita begin to live with the Ragnars. Although it is initially pleasant, it doesn't take long for things to get hectic. Lita refuses to eat anything but potato chips, and Joanne reacts sensitively to every instance of trouble. Lizzie is also frequently bratty toward the Ragnars, but especially if Ellie. The two parents frequently attend support groups with the other couples for insight on what to do with the kids. Pete's mother, Cindy, comes to visit to meet the kids, and instantly wins with them over by treating the whole family to Six Flags. While there, Lizzie runs off with two friends from school. She doesn't reappear until later, and Pete grounds her for not informing him or Ellie as to her whereabouts. Although Lizzie remains bratty, Joanne and Lita start to warm up to the Ragnars. Lita calls Pete Daddy when he fixes her doll, and Ellie gets a good night mommy from Joanne after she comforts him from a nightmare. Soon Lizzie starts to go along with the others as they partake in family activities. Pete even invites her to a fixer-upper he is working on so they can wreck things for her to take out her frustrations. Pete and Ellie later find out that the kid's mother, Carla, has been out of prison for a few months, and she wants to see the kids. They express their feelings about this during the group therapy, but the social workers tell them that their main goal is to keep families together and that the might be reunited with a biological mother after all. After meetings between the kids and their biological mother, the situation in the Wagner family degenerates. The children become more and more unruly, and Pete and Ellie feel profoundly demotivated and frustrated. Pete and Ellie seek out the Fernandez family, who had spoken with their adoptive daughter Brenda at the training for help with Lizzie. They inform the Wagners that Brenda is back in rehab, but Mrs. Fernandez tells them what a process it is to really form a bond and trust with the kids. The couple is horrified when they find Lizzie taking naked selfies to send to a guy at school named Jacob, and he sends her a naked photo of himself. When they take the kids to school the next day, they confront a boy named Charlie. Since they mistook him for Jacob, they then realize that Jacob is actually the school's 22-year-old janitor and chase him into the school and assault him. Jacob is arrested, but so are Pete and Ellie, leaving Joan and Ellie alone in the car while Lizzie is humiliated. When Pete and Ellie return home, they are told by Sandy that they need to reassure Lizzie that they love her, because she doesn't feel that she is loved. The Wagners and the kids gather for a court hearing to decide whether or not the kids will go back to Carla or stay with Pete and Ellie. The judge reads a statement written by Lizzie detailing the things that Pete and Ellie have done. Although Ellie tries to read a new statement, the judge won't let her. Carla is then given rights to the kids. Pete and Ellie sadly start to pack things up for the kids. Joan and Lita do not want to go, but Lizzie is ready. However, Karen and Sharon arrive at the house to inform Lizzie and Carla is not coming to get them, as she failed to show up that morning and appears to have started using drugs again. Heartbroken, Lizzie runs away while Pete and Ellie chase her. They catch up and tell her they love her, and eventually the trio reconcile. 4 months later, the family goes to a new hearing. The judge finalizes the adoption of Lizzie, Joan, and Lita by Pete and Ellie. Okay, that's Instant Family. I'm sorry for the 2 long ones. Let's do Vox Lux. It's an R-rated movie, but this is a short plot. Here we go. Teenage sisters Celeste, Reffy Cassidy, and Eleanor Ellie Montgomery, Stacy Martin, survived a school shooting in 1999 and are catapulted into stardom after writing and performing a song about their experience. The film traces Celeste's career as she draws the attention of a passionate manager, Jude Law, and rises to worldwide fame. In 2017, the now 31-year-old Celeste, Natalie Portman, is mother to a teenage daughter of her own, Cassidy, and is preparing for a massive concert while dealing with the mania fallout of a terrorist attack using her own iconography. Okay, let's do The Wizard of Oz. This is the last part of The Wizard of Oz. Well, there's a lot of pictures in there. It says Judy Garland as Dorothy Gale and Terry the dog as Toto. And there's one image over there. The Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton, menacing Dorothy. Okay, here's the plot in this film. Let's not look up on those images on the right, okay? Alright. Dorothy Gale lives with her Cairn Terrier dog, Toto, on the Kansas farm of her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Toto bites mean neighbor Miss Elmira Gulch on the leg, and she obtains an order from the sheriff or Toto to be euthanized. She takes Toto away on her bicycle, but he escapes and returns to Dorothy, and they decide to run away from home. They meet Professor Marvel, a kindly fortune teller who uses his crystal ball to make Dorothy believe that Aunt Em may be dying, and with a broken heart, Dorothy races home, arriving just as a powerful tornado strikes. Locked out of the farm's storm cellar, she seeks shelter in her bedroom, while blown debris knocks her unconscious, and the house is sent spinning in the air. She awakens to see various figures fly by, including Miss Gulch on her bicycle, who transforms into a witch on a broomstick. The house leads on a Munchkin land in the land of Oz. Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, and the Munchkins welcome her as a heroine. As the falling house is killed, the Wicked Witch of the East, only the witch's leg and the ruby slippers on her feet are visible. Her sister, the Wicked Witch of the West, arrives to claim the slippers, but Glinda transports them onto Dorothy's feet first. The Wicked Witch of the West swears revenge on Dorothy, then vanishes. Glinda tells Dorothy to follow the yellow brick road to the Emerald City, where she can ask the Wizard of Oz to help her get back home. On her journey, Dorothy meets the Scarecrow, who wants a brain, the Tin Woodman, who desires a heart, and the Carolyn, who needs courage. Dorothy invites them to accompany her to the Emerald City, where they can ask the wizard to help them too. Despite the witch sending her winged monkeys to capture Dorothy and Toto, they reach the Emerald City and are eventually permitted to see the wizard, who appears as a large ghostly head surrounded by fire and smoke. He agrees to grant their wishes if they prove their worth by bringing him the witch's broomstick. As the four plus Toto make their way to the witch's castle, the witch realizes that Dorothy must be dead before the ruby slippers can be removed. Toto escapes and leads her three friends to the castle. They ambush three guards, don the guards' uniforms, and march inside to locate Dorothy. The witch and her guards chase them through the castle and surround them. When the witch sets fire to the Scarecrow, Dorothy tosses a bucket of water at him, and it also splashes the witch, who melts away. The guards rejoice and give Dorothy her broomstick. Back in the Emerald City, as a wizard stalls in fulfilling his promises, Toto pulls back a curtain and exposes the wizard. As a middle-aged man operating machinery and speaking into a microphone, he admits to being a humbug, insisting he is a good man but a bad wizard. He then gives the Scarecrow a diploma, the Lion a medal, and the Tin Man a ticking heart-shaped match, helping them see that the attributes they sought, brains, heart, courage, were already within them. He then offers to take Dorothy and Toto home to his hot air balloon. He explains he is a Kansas man himself, and he worked on a carnival, and a tornado brought him to the Emerald City, and the people there offered him the job as the Wizard of Oz, and he accepted. As Dorothy and the wizard prepare to depart, Toto sees and hears a cat and jumps off, and Dorothy goes to catch him, so the balloon leaves with only the wizard. Glinda appears and tells Dorothy the ruby slippers will take her home. Following Glinda's instructions, Dorothy closes her eyes and taps her heels together 3 times and repeats, "There's no place like home." Dorothy wakes up in her bedroom, surrounded by her family and friends, including Toto. Everyone dismisses her adventure as a dream, but Dorothy insists it was real and says she will never run away from home again. She then declares there's no place like home. Okay, that's the Wizard of Oz. So second, we're going to do Monkey Pictures, RoboCal Productions, and Duncan D's Company shorts. It's about the dramatic adventure of on the eloping adventure, but Taiga and Ryuji are just going on a train, so Yusako can see her grandparents over by. So when Taiga and Ryuji on board the train, there you can hear some music coming on from the background. It's Johann Strauss to The Blue Danube. So yeah, it will be muted this time, but there's a picture on the background that insists Ryuji and Taiga are taking a picture together. So anyway, yeah, that's the shorts we got. So anyway, guys, I got the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, so you guys can do Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus whenever you want. You can download a Wizard of Oz Dormant scene and an Aladdin Prince Ahmed scene. So yeah, this is going to be a funny one with the S10 Plus that will make me laugh. Anyway, yep. So that's all I got for today. Let's do some work right now.